Do you really think the court jester was the happiest person in the palace? That he lived carefree, laughing, entertaining, almost like a medieval stand-up comedian? What if his laughter wasn't joy, but a survival strategy? Today I want to talk about the psychology of the jester, not the historical costume, but the inner state of a person who is required to be funny. And you might recognize someone in this. Maybe someone in your life, maybe even yourself. Imagine this. Your safety, your position, your acceptance depend on how well you can lighten the atmosphere. You're not just joking. You are constantly reading the room, tracking micro-reactions, calculating where the invisible line is. This creates what we call hypervigilance, a nervous system that never fully relaxes, always scanning, always adjusting. The jester wasn't simply playful. He was someone who learned that seriousness could be dangerous, direct disagreement could be risky, honest emotion could cost too much. So humor becomes protection. In psychology, humor is considered a mature defense mechanism. It helps us cope with stress. It helps us tolerate anxiety. It creates distance from pain. But there's a difference between I use humor sometimes and I only exist through humor. If you're accepted only when you're light, your heaviness starts to feel unacceptable. If you're valued for being fun, sadness becomes something you hide. If your role is to diffuse conflict, you lose permission to have your own conflict. Over time, something splits inside. On the outside, the easygoing one, the funny one, the one who's good. On the inside, exhaustion, anger, loneliness. Because the role of the jester isn't freedom to speak truth. It's the obligation to make truth safe for other people. And here's the paradox. The jester is often the most sensitive person in the room. He notices tension before anyone else. He senses shifts in mood instantly. He detects unspoken aggression. But that sensitivity isn't used for himself. It's used to regulate everyone else. Today we might call this people-pleasing, adapting, smoothing things over, turning discomfort into a joke so nothing explodes. And very often this pattern begins in childhood. A child growing up in a tense home quickly learns, if I make them laugh, the fighting stops. If I stay easy, I stay safe. If I turn it into a joke, no one gets angry at me. And it works. But in adulthood, the same strategy can become limiting. The person no longer knows where the role ends and the self begins. They laugh when they're hurt. They joke when they're angry. They downplay what actually matters. Humor stops being a choice. It becomes a mask. And the hardest thing for that person is allowing themselves to be serious. To say, this isn't funny. To say, I'm not okay. To stay in tension instead of dissolving it. So when you see someone who is always joking, it doesn't automatically mean they're carefree. Sometimes it means they're anxious. Sometimes it means they're afraid of rejection. Sometimes it means they learned that being easy is the only way to be accepted. The jester isn't just an archetype of humor. It's an archetype of adaptation. And the real question isn't whether we know how to laugh. It's whether we can exist without the role.